Hey folks, today we are going to talk about ribs. That's right, everybody's favorite part of the pig. So the different types of ribs: spare ribs, St. Louis style ribs, and of course, baby back ribs. That's probably a more accurate representation there. First thing you're going to notice about the different types of ribs is the price. Baby back ribs are a lot more expensive than spare ribs per pound. $2.44 versus $3.74 for the baby back. So here's a diagram, or at least my crude interpretation of a diagram from where the ribs come from. The baby back ribs come from the top part of the ribs. They're smaller, maybe, and they come from the back rib, baby back ribs. That's where the name comes from. The other side of the baby back ribs is the pork chop. So, and the spare ribs are just a little further down and actually get a little bit of belly meat. This is not an accurate diagram, so don't get mad at me, butchers. It's just a crude interpretation or my crude understanding. So here's kind of what they look like. The spare ribs on the side and the baby back ribs on the top. One thing you'll notice about the baby back ribs is they're a lot smaller than the spare ribs, and I think it's that side that is attached to the top, so that's kind of how they look like on the side of the pig. And the St. Louis style ribs, we're just going to trim those off of the spare ribs. You'll see in just a minute how we trim those, but first let's get these guys out of the package. First thing you do is just dry them off. They come in these cryovac packs. I don't know if that's blood or hemoglobin or whatever you want to call it, but either way, we got to get all that moisture off, or it's going to be a really nasty mess. I will say this is one of the few times I let raw meat touch my cutting board. It's on the board I have big enough to do this, but I will bleach this board after the fact to get rid of any nasties. So what's the difference? The baby back rib is exactly what we described. It's a smaller rib on the back of the pig. The spare rib is the ribs that come underneath it. The St. Louis style ribs is nothing more than a spare rib that has been trimmed down. And you'll see in a second how we trim that down, but those are your three types. Baby backs, nice and ready to go straight out of the pack. We do have to pull that membrane off that we'll get to. The spare ribs have a lot of extra meat, a lot of extra cartilage, a lot of extra few bones. Basically, we're going to trim off the cartilage over to where we get rid of the cartilage and all these little tiny bones. You've probably had some ribs in the past where you get a long bone, and then north of that you get a lot of little cartilage and a little tiny bones you got to chew around. But first, we're going to trim off this. God, I don't know what you would call this on a pig. If it was a beef, it would be called either the skirt steak or the flank steak. I'm really not sure on that. Check out the Bearded Butchers on YouTube. They do a much better job explaining that. But it's a little piece of meat that's just, we're going to trim off first. Throw that on the grill, throw that in a fajita, in a taco, whatever. It's going to be delicious, delicious meat. Very tender, but here we go. We are going to flip this guy over. We're going to find where these longer bones or the ribs meet the cartilage. Just fill with your knife, and you'll be able to find where the cartilage is in between a couple of joints. Doesn't take a lot of knife pressure, but just work your knife in between those and cut it down like so. You can use a butcher's knife if you want to use a chef's knife. I'm using a steak knife because it's razor sharp. A boning knife certainly would work well here. Probably not the most professional way to do this. Probably getting a little hack marks, little cut marks in the meat. But hey, I'm not selling this. I'm going to grill it up or smoke it and eat it myself. So just trim that. It's got a lot of meat at the very end. We'll trim that up here in a minute, but that's basically what you get. You spare ribs there in the middle, that little skirt, whatever you call that thing that we trimmed off from the inner part of the pig, and all this extra meat here. I'm going to throw it in the freezer and save it for a soup, or I might even smoke that later on today, or later on. So here we go. We've got our St. Louis style ribs here that I'm trimming up some excess fat here. Then we got our baby back, and for some reason I didn't take that little skirt strip, whatever you call that thing, off my cutting board, but that's going in a freezer bag. So unlike trimming up a beef brisket, they don't have a lot of extra fat, but I went ahead and trimmed off that end tip that's probably just going to overcook. Now, if you take anything else from this video, trim off or remove this membrane from the back of your ribs. If you do anything else, remember to remove this membrane. It will allow the smoke and your seasonings to penetrate a lot better, and you'll just get a much better final product. Now, you start with a knife here, and I know professionals can just rip this thing off. I had to get a paper towel to get a better grip of it, and it just came off in a few pieces. Not really a big deal. You'll see in a second how the baby back ribs came off a lot easier. So just get that off the best way you can. And if I don't mention it, I do thank you for watching the video. If you've learned from this, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe. It really does help us out. Lets me make some more videos, and it's all around just good for us, and I greatly appreciate it. So again, I have to take a paper towel and pull that out. It was just kind of slippery, so whatever way, just get that off the best you can. Here it comes off in a bigger piece. You don't have to be perfect about this, but that definitely has to go. And I would think that's probably good enough. So we're going to do a baby back ribs. Now I'll start off the same way. Put your knife through. You'll be able to see this. You'll be able to feel it. This is not real complicated here. Get it going. Peel it off with your hands if you can. Get a paper towel, like I have to. It's just kind of slippery. And watch how easy that is. That came off in just one piece. Not putting hardly any pressure on it. A lot easier than the St. Louis style ribs. And again, I'll explain the difference here just to make it clear. The baby back ribs are exactly what it's just out of the cryovac pack. They're ready to go after you trim them or remove the membrane, of course. They are smaller, and they are on the back of the pig, the top part of the ribs. Spare ribs are the bottom part of the ribs. And then St. Louis style ribs are nothing more than a spare rib with the excess that's been trimmed off, the smaller little bones, the cartilage. We're leaving the big bones that we know as barbecue ribs. Now I'm going to put these on the smoker for a couple of hours, and be sure you watch that video, and we'll do a little taste test at the end. But there's your baby back ribs on the left, and your St. Louis style ribs on the right. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video.